and we're still trying to get a lot of answers to a ton of questions. But the one thing is clear, you are dealing with a person who's trans, that was transitioning. Are you going to be examining at all some of the drugs that are used in order to make that transition happening, to see if it plays a role? Because we also know there was a trans shooter in the Tennessee situation.
Yeah, we are doing those kind of studies now at NIH. We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
So I've never seen that medicine, but you're saying that if you get it, some of the side effects could be homicide, suicide?
Well, there are black box warnings on some of these psychiatric drugs that warn about, in their clinical trials, that they saw suicidal and homicidal ideation. So, you know, we are going into that with an open mind.
That was a competition between two of the dumbest assholes you'll ever see. RFK Jr. talking about, first of all, that Minnesota school shooting from yesterday, and Brian Kilmeade, who's asking him, that person was going and transitioning. So are we going to look into those drugs that went into the transitioning as a reason behind some violent tendencies? And RFK Jr.'s dumbass brought up SSRI drugs. And if you don't know, those are antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs. And then went back to the first clown, Brian Kilmeade, who said, those are the things that are part of it, because he doesn't know what those drugs are. He thought SSRI drugs were the things as part of the transition, because Brian Kilmeade's objective is to demonize trans folks. RFK's objective is to continue to be brainless. That's why he also said this.
I also know the next month you're going to announce what you think is going to be the cause of autism. And you say there are certain interventions that are causing it. Is there anything else you want to say to the people that are wondering why we're having this blitz of autism in America?
I mean, autism rates in 1970 in this country were less than 1 in 10,000. And the biggest epidemiological study in history was done that year in 1970. And it validated and confirmed many other studies, similar studies at the same time. So we've gone to that, to the CDC announcing that 1 in every 31 Americans has autism. It's probably actually worse than that, because California, which has the best data collection system, reports that 1 out of every 19 kids now has autism, 1 out of every 12.5 boys. This is a crisis. There is not a single cause. There are many. There's an aggregation of causes.
Okay.
And we are now developing sufficient evidence to ask for regulatory action on some of those, or at least recommendations.
He's looking for recommendations on certain things. There's a range of factors that cause autism, which of course is the worst thing ever. And so since he's looking for those range of factors, he's looking for regulations and regulatory measures against them. What, bro? He didn't identify a range of factors. But the one thing they want to point out is autism is a scourge of the earth. And just because people actually understand it now is what's making them believe that we've got this influx of it. But there's this other comparison that you could also take. Nazis, they had campaigns against folks with autism. They had campaigns against that, and they eventually killed many of those people. It's weird how that keeps connecting to this administration, where the president continues to listen to people like RFK Jr. and be afraid of autism.
So there has to be something artificially causing this, meaning a drug or something. And I know you're looking very strongly at different things, and I hope you can come out with that as soon as possible.
We will.
So 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 31 or 34 or 12 if it's a boy. Can you imagine that? 1 in 12. That's for a boy.
1 out of every 12.5 boys.
It's not even believable that could be.
They speak to his dumbest tendencies. So again, Donald Trump has issues with autism. So Donald Trump says it must be something artificial because I don't understand anything. We'll just fire scientists. We'll get rid of research. We'll take away all kind of funding for anything medical or scientific so that we can just assume. So we could just say it must be something else like the food colors and the dyes and the fats and the trans fats, which all can be bad. But just because you link it to autism and then school shooters and all this doesn't make it true. It just makes your stupid thoughts become policy, which eventually kills people. Speaking of looking to kill people, this is the next step that RFK Jr. has in his plan to, uh, kill people.
The Food and Drug Administration has approved the next round of COVID shots for the fall, but only for a more limited group of people. The updated vaccine is approved for adults 65 and older. The FDA also gave the green light for kids and adults with at least one medical condition that puts them at risk of severe illness. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced the approval in a post on X today. The new restrictions are likely to affect what insurance covers, especially for people who do not qualify for the updated COVID shots. According to the CDC's vaccine price list, a COVID shot could cost up to $140 without insurance.
So there's new limitations on COVID vaccines. You know, that vaccine that Donald Trump bragged incessantly about having his hyper speed approach to having it developed because, he almost died of COVID. That was after he said it wasn't real, we won't test, and then those numbers will go down. His complete betrayal of the American people at the beginning of the COVID crisis. He then wanted to do something different because he almost died. There's this weird thing we've got. Choice. So if you don't want any new COVID variant vaccines, there's this really cool thing you can do. You cannot get them. And then allow people that want them to, get them. But this is still the same party that let's talk about how the Democrats want to control your lives and get all between you and your doctor and get into your house. But they keep invading women's wombs. They keep invading people's rights to health care. They keep invading people's access to vaccines when it's been proven scientifically by those people that they're envious and jealous of, that are smart, that they're just trying to kill you. That is while we have outbreaks of measles. Somebody got the plague, bro. Did you hear about that? So they're limiting it, and they want to make sure that only people who have tons of money can pay for that vaccine. It's almost like they're continuing to cater to only rich folks. Donald Trump's former Surgeon General, Jerome Adams, did you guys see him talking about this? Because he's alarmed.
For folks who may not be familiar, though, Margaret, mRNA stands for messenger mRNA. It's a natural molecule that's in all of our bodies. It's like a recipe card that tells your body how to make a protein. And this idea, again, helps us develop vaccines and new treatments for everything from cancer, melanoma, which my wife has, to HIV, to better flu vaccines and Zika. These are advances that are not going to happen now. People are going to die because we're cutting short funding for this technology.
What would have happened in 2020 if we didn't have mRNA vaccines?
If we did not have mRNA vaccines, the best experts at the time, Bill Gates, Tony Fauci, were saying it would have taken at least 18 to 24 additional months to get a vaccine. The record before that, Margaret, was 6 years to get a vaccine using the technology that Secretary Kennedy says he wants to go back to, whole virus technology. And so, as I mentioned, by the most conservative estimates, at least 2 million lives were saved. Many people say that up to 20 million lives were saved because of these vaccines. It is President Trump's greatest achievement, bar none.
People now are going to die. I just want to point out again, after this guy came into office and many opponents, one of those folks being me, was talking about how this will kill people. Also, when he was in office the first time and he ignored COVID at the beginning and acted like it was nothing so that he could save face because he was only thinking about himself, it killed people. So when they keep saying that all these folks love them some President Trump, maybe you should ask, we can't. All those dead people that are dead as a direct result of his policies. Those policies aren't just based in vaccines. Those policies are also based in taking away people's health care, access to doctors, access to care, and more people will die. Closures of hospitals. Again, all going back to that same bill that they signed to give more money to rich people And when you give away resources and money to rich people, they hold it by yachts and new cars and other folks who pay them, where our tax dollars are supposed to go to our lives, from flood warnings to infrastructure to deaths that come from all these different aspects. Regular folks die, but we pay for our deaths.